हेडकाउंट का फर्क पड़ेगा, बट ओवरऑल कमेंट्री जो मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो यही आ रही है कि यूएस में जो आईटी स्पेंडिंग है will not be as strong as what is being modeled by the analysts for next year. The modeling is of high single-digit growth. My understanding, based on my conversations in the US, is it's going to be more like mid-single-digit growth. So we'll have a few percentage improvement, but not as much as what is priced in the valuations of large cap stock. The concern is valuation. Growth होगा, but इतना अच्छा नहीं होगा जितना कि currently priced in my view and my current assessment.
Thank you.
I think so. All of most market participants are thinking that government capex will pick up, which is sensible because first half we talked about it.
Yes.
My question is there enough capacity in the system to absorb that capex?
Yes.
Because if you look at last year, we did about 9 lakh crores.
Yes.
First half में let's say 4.5 किया होगा. We are down 15%, so 4 lakh crore अभी तक किया हुआ है first half में. To do 7 lakh crores in the second half, that is quite a lot. So do we end up with a situation? I mean, what's your assessment?
I think we'll have a shortfall. I don't think we'll reach anywhere near 11. We'll probably be somewhere between 10.1, 10.3 type.
Flattish for the year.
Which will still be 7-8% growth for the year, but will mean a 30% growth, 35% kind of growth for the second half.
Second half of the year.
Which will show up in these indicators improving. That's what I'm saying. That the first half has been so bad. It's a 15% decline. So even if you have 30% growth and you still have a shortfall, the good outcome of this is that they'll have some 10-20 bps extra to show a lower fiscal deficit. So that's a good part. And then they can, when the budget comes out, once अभी तो Christmas आ जाएगा, New Year आ जाएगा, फिर first Jan से क्या होगा? Budget right? हाँ. तो और फिर अब budget की बात करेंगे, ठीक है? तो मैं उसकी और पहले कर देता हूँ. तो जो अगर जो budget आएगा 1st February को, उसमें if this is at 10.1, they might show this for next year at close to 11.7, 12 lakh crore, and in the meanwhile take their time to increase the bandwidth capacity as what you mentioned. That is also an issue. तो गवर्नमेंट को उस पर भी काम करना पड़ेगा, उसमें ब्यूरोक्रेसी में काम करना पड़ेगा, डिसीजन मेकिंग पे, प्रोजेक्ट पाइपलाइन पे, and so that also requires this capacity, bandwidth capacity is also an issue. But it's not too tough to expand, but the government needs to work on it. But अब वो इलेक्शन से बाहर निकले तो काम करेंगे ना.
एक follow-up था. Okay. Green energy as a theme when you talk about it, जो दिमाग में most लोगों के दिमाग में आता है is green energy generation. So if you just elaborate in terms of what all you consider within green energy as a space, because generation में pure play listed companies नहीं है ज़्यादा, right? So just if you could.
So pure play listed companies भी आ रही हैं. You are seeing a lot of IPOs coming from the. Can I get a bottle of water? You have a lot of pure play companies getting listed from the private market. अभी Premier Energy का IPO हुआ था, अभी Acme का IPO हुआ है. So somebody mentioned Waaree. So these are all examples of pure play green energy companies, and more will come in the following years because most of the investments in this space. The battery ecosystem it's happened in the private equity, more will come. So opportunity is there. It's a theme for real for the next 5 years. Government has set a target that India's annual capacity currently अभी है 200 gigawatt, and इनके 5-year plan है कि 500 gigawatt तक ले जाना है. Very aggressive target, होगा नहीं. बट हर साल 50 गीगावाट करने की अभी कैपेसिटी नहीं है इंडिया में. बट अभी जहाँ तक की विजिबिलिटी है और अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, आई थिंक 25-30 का तो हो गया. बट दे नीड टू स्टेप इट अप. बट द अपॉर्चुनिटीज फॉर रियल. In certain cases, valuations are a bit stretched, so one has to be careful around stock picking. But that's true for the market in general now. The easy money made, those days are over. We had a great bull run, March 23 to September 24. Now, a lot of stock picking and careful fund management needs to be done. The momentum phase and the narrative driven phase of money making, in my view, is over for the short term at least.
Can the Trump tariff war impact Indian valuations or not?
Depending करता है
Yeah,
कि
it has basically.
But one thing, it will impact depending on what comes, but whatever it comes, it should be the least for India. Already in public, we are hearing China numbers 50-60%, Canada, Mexico 25%, India 10%. So I think, and Modi ji और Trump की तो दोस्ती है, कुछ तो फायदा होगा.
Uninverted, and whenever it has happened in the past, US has followed a correction. It is kind of a 100% indicator. Plus the unemployment rate that have bottomed out and now are going up are those factors that have to be ruled out considering what Trump and his team might do, because 5 years they have been doing mistake under Biden government and Kamala government. How can they wash out the probability of recession just within 3 or 1 quarter of being in the government?
See that correlation between 2-year, 10-year inversion and recession. So inversion happened last year. Last year it started, but still the recession didn't come. So this time it's turned out to be invalid. So if you look at history also, it's not happened every time. So but every time a recession has happened, that has happened. But every time that condition has happened, recession hasn't happened. So it's not it's not a sufficient in itself condition as they say in stats. तो इस बार ये हुआ था लेकिन recession नहीं हुआ. अब वो reversion भी inversion भी कम हो गया.
The last I checked, it was for a period of 26 months. Earlier it was in 2008 for 18 months. उससे पहले 12 month का था. And then the recessions that followed were
With a lag.
yeah.
हाँ नहीं but इस बार नहीं लग रहा है.
What
हर
factors
बार true नहीं होता.
giving that confidence कि अभी ये government 1 quarter 2 quarter में वो perform करके reverse करेगा?
Perform तो already कर रहा है US. You know, if you look at the US economy, even before this scheme coming in, this is the US Fed projections. They're already running at 2% growth. Where is the recession? Because 23 was close to 3%. There's no recession. Prediction is 2%. The inflation which was running at, inflation was at 8-9%, right?
Right.
That has come down to 2.7, 2.5, on its way towards 2%. So अभी तो you are looking at a 2% growth economy and inflation at 2%. It's a very normal economy. What Trump will try to do is push this 2% growth towards 2.5, 3, which will be positive for US equities.
Thank you, sir.
So in defense industry come back rally again.
हाँ जी?
Defense sector.
कितना रैली तो आ गया और कितना चाहिए?
Again it will repeat or not?
देखिए डिफेंस की थीम है वो तो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है. जो स्पेंडिंग है वो एज पार्ट ऑफ दिस कैपेक्स प्रोग्राम हर साल बजट में इंक्रीज ही होता रहेगा, स्पेशली द न्यू जियोपॉलिटिकल एनवायरनमेंट यू आर इन. बट द स्टॉक्स हैड रन ahead of fundamentals much earlier. So I have it in my funds in the last 3-4 months. Now this is my personal view, purely based on valuations. That the stock had given fantastic returns, and while the 5-year theme is good, but valuations are extremely expensive, so I have exited. Will the theme continue for the next 5 years? Yes. Will they start giving immediate returns again? मेरा view है probably not. So यहाँ से one should tone down expectation in the short term, but if you have a 3-year, 5-year view, I think it should be fine.
What's your view on Chinese market currently?
तो इंडियन मार्केट में भी बना रहे हैं, अब चाइनीज मार्केट में कैसे बनेगा? See, China market, I think is a trading market. It was a buy at 9p and sell at 12p. That's what has happened. So the trade got over September, October, November. From 12p, can it go to 15p? That will depend on the announcement ahead, the reforms ahead, what tariffs happen. But I can tell you one thing, that the Chinese market has given negative returns in the last 10 years. Are you aware? In the last 15 years also. So the dollar investors have lost hope over there. And with Trump coming in, it's unlikely that the dollar investors will invest more over there. This is 10-year returns of Chinese market. It's sub 1% dollar return. और ये आपको 15 साल भी देखेंगे तो आपका sub 1% ही है. So there's not much interest left. It's more of a trading market in my view.
Yeah. So your view about consumer credit being tight relative to last 3 years will also have bearing on quite a few themes in the business cycle fund that you just showed. Like probably real estate will get impacted and even the urban consumption led themes.
तो ये जो है इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है BFSI में अब डिफरेंट पॉकेट्स है. बैंक्स में एक लार्ज बैंक्स होते हैं, स्मॉल बैंक्स होते हैं, मिड साइज बैंक्स हैं, पब्लिक सेक्टर, प्राइवेट सेक्टर, ठीक है. फिर NBFC में लार्ज, स्मॉल, मिड साइज. Then you have capital marketplace like RAMC, various AMCs, wealth managers, and you have affordable housing fund companies and you have housing finance companies जो बड़े-बड़े टिकट की करते हैं. तो इस पूरे इकोसिस्टम में प्रॉब्लम्स कुछ जगह ही हैं. प्रॉब्लम एरियाज मेनली हैं माइक्रो फाइनेंस में, क्रेडिट कार्ड्स में और MSME के. MSME स्टैंड्स फॉर माइक्रो, स्मॉल एंड मीडियम एंटरप्राइज. तो माइक्रो और स्मॉल में जो मेरे ख्याल से अभी आने वाला है, अभी इतना पब्लिकली डिस्कस नहीं हुआ है. मीडियम एंटरप्राइज, लार्ज कॉर्पोरेट्स आर ऑल डूइंग फाइन. लिस्टेड प्राइवेट आर ऑल डूइंग फाइन. उधर से प्राइवेट सेक्टर कैपेक्स आएगा तो दे आर डूइंग फाइन. ये जो प्रॉब्लम है किधर इमर्ज होगी? ये आपके फिनटेक्स में है, स्मॉलर NBFCs में है, स्मॉलर PSU बैंक्स में है, स्मॉलर NBFCs में है. लार्ज बैंक्स में नहीं आएगा, लार्ज NBFCs में ज़्यादा नहीं आएगा और अफोर्डेबल हाउसिंग में तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. तो हाउसिंग सेक्टर, रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर इज डूइंग फाइन. So it will come in pockets. So in the business cycle fund, for example, I don't have any small banks. I have only large banks. And in NBFCs, I have only affordable housing NBFCs and one diversified NBFC. But I don't have many other diversified NBFCs. इनमें 5, 10, 20% of the business will have problems in the future. So that is fine. So it will come in pockets. So in the business cycle fund, for example, I don't have any small banks. I have only large banks. And in NBFCs, I have only affordable housing NBFCs and one diversified NBFC. But I don't have many other diversified NBFCs. इनमें 5, 10, 20% of the business will have problems in the future. So that is.
And one more thing, in top 100 fund, the cash was increased around August. So and
You IPOs पे depend करता है. If some IPOs are coming, that's when cash levels go up. But right now, cash level is less than 2%
Okay.
in the top 100 fund. Business
it
cycle
wasn't
fund
a-
it varies between 2 to 6% depending on the IPOs and all.
But it wasn't a timing decision.
No, there is no cash call which I take in most of the funds unless you have an extreme scenario.
Oh,
I don't take cash call.
thank you.
Yeah, there was some exposure in the REITs also, in the business cycle fund. So what is the view on the commercial REIT space as well as the other REIT space which is listed right now?
Outlook is positive. I think commercial real estate is doing very well. They give good 6-7% yields, 4-5% appreciation. So outlook is quite constructive. No worries over there as per.
Any more questions?
Just as a I think you're quite constructive generally in terms of the capex, right?
Yes.
But in industrials and some of the sectors, capex oriented sectors, is it purely a case of valuation or
Yes.
is it just valuation?
Yes.
So valuations do come down. Maybe
I'll
something that you
look to
will.
add. So if there's a correction which continues, maybe 5-10% correction more, some stocks are by 10-20% more, I'll be adding. Industrials as well as real estate.
And in terms of consumption, you talked about housing, of course. Do you see incremental housing demand getting impacted because of slowing urban, or as a side effect of a slowing urban?
थोड़ा बहुत तो impact आएगा, थोड़ा बहुत तो but,
Nothing substantial,
Not substantial.
but it's more the discretionary part that you are a
Yeah.
little wary about. Okay, thanks.
So if there are no more questions, I think I would like to thank Rahul sir for such a wonderful session. And these are